The alien warrior woman was weakened and sad. A human gave her back her old. The sky above the ruined valley glowed with the faint shimmer of 2 moons of pale light falling gently across the battlefield, where broken metal and shattered bodies told a silent story of defeat and despair. Among the wreckage stood a figure tall, and once proud her shoulders, now slumped her armor, cracked her face, streaked with dirt and dried blood. She was called Virelya, once the fiercest warrior of the Zenthari, a people bred for strength and born into conquest. Her blade had sung across 100 planets, her roar had silenced entire squads, but today she stood alone, her army crushed, her spirit flickering, like the dying embers of a fire long untended. Her legs trembled as she dropped to her knees beside a fallen comrade, her hand reaching to close the lifeless eyes of one who had once called her sister. The silence pressing around her heavy, suffocating. She let her weapon fall from her grip, and it landed in the dust with a dull thud, as if mourning its own uselessness. "I failed them," she whispered to no one and everyone. The war had ended in ruin. The humans had not brought the destruction. No, it was a betrayal from within. Her own kind had turned on her, their fear of her rising honor, twisting into envy and treachery. They had left her here, abandoned her, in the final assault, leaving her to die. But death had not come. Instead, a shadow moved on the ridge above. A human soldier, his armor scorched, and then had made his way carefully down the slope, rifle lowered, eyes scanning cautiously. He did not expect to find anyone alive, not after the bombardment. He certainly did not expect to find her. Virelya raised her head slowly, expecting pain, expecting judgment, expecting death. He stopped a few steps away, his expression unreadable. Then he did something strange. He knelt before her, laid down his weapon, and extended a water pouch. "You look thirsty," he said. She stared at him, eyes narrow, her pride refusing the gesture, even as her body screamed for relief. "I do not accept pity from enemies," she said, her voice hoarse. "I am not your enemy," he replied simply. She hesitated, then reached out slowly and took the pouch, her fingers brushing against his. The water was warm, metallic, but it soothed her throat like a promise. When she handed it back, he did not move away. "Why are you here?" she asked. "I saw the explosion from my post, thought maybe someone might still be breathing," he said. "Guess I was right." "Why help me?" she pressed. He looked at her for a long moment. "Because I can." She wanted to laugh. She wanted to tell him his kindness was wasted. She was finished, broken, alone. But he did not treat her like she was broken. Instead, he built a fire, gathered food, and made camp beside the wreckage. When night fell, he offered her a blanket. When she collapsed from exhaustion, he sat near, but not too near, letting her rest without fear. When morning came, he was still there, cleaning his gear, cooking something that smelled faintly of spice. "Your name," she said. "Darren," he replied. She nodded. "Virelya." The days passed strangely. He stayed. She did not understand why. He hunted. He shared his rations. He spoke of things she had never considered. Music, laughter, oceans filled with dancing lights. At first she remained silent, listening only. But something about his voice, the way it carried warmth and calm, began to draw words from her lips. She told him about her training, the endless drills, the brutal selection that made her who she was. She spoke of victories and losses, of comrades and foes. She spoke of her fear, not of death, but of being forgotten. He listened, always. One evening, as the fire crackled between them, he asked, "Do you miss who you were?" She was quiet a long time before answering. "Yes, but I fear she is gone forever." Darren picked up a stone and tossed it into the dark. "She is not gone. She is resting, healing, waiting for someone to remind her she is still here." His words struck her harder than any blade. She looked at her hands, the scars, the calluses. She remembered the power that had once surged through her veins. Could it return? Could she be more than a shattered remnant? The answer came not with words, but with action. Weeks passed. Darren taught her how to mend her armor, how to move again with purpose. He sparred with her using sticks and laughter, not violence. At first she could barely lift her limbs, but slowly her strength returned. Her muscles tightened, her stance sharpened. He watched with quiet pride, never boasting, never commanding. "You are strong," he said one morning as she split a stone with a single blow. She shook her head. "I was strong. I am only beginning to remember." "That is all it takes," he said, "to begin." In time they moved beyond the valley, crossing hills and forests. They found abandoned outposts where supplies lay untouched. Verilia began to feel the rhythm of motion, again the thrill of the hunt, the beauty of sunrise over open fields. With Darren beside her, the world no longer seemed empty. Then came the day when they encountered others. A small group of survivors, human and Zenthari, both injury-afraid, hiding in the ruins of a forgotten city. At first they stared at Virelya with fear and suspicion. She was a symbol of war, a reminder of loss. But Darren stepped forward. "She saved me," he told them, "and she can save you." Virelya did not speak. She merely knelt beside a wounded child and offered a piece of dried fruit. The child reached for it, eyes wide. And just like that, the wall began to crumble. Days turned into weeks. Together they built shelter, grew food, guarded the group from threats. Virelya, trained the able, taught them how to defend themselves not with fury, but with discipline. Darren worked beside her, always encouraging, never demanding. One evening, as the stars burned bright above, Virelya stood atop a hill, watching the camp below. Laughter drifted upward like music. She felt something stir inside her, something ancient and powerful. Darren joined her, his eyes following hers. "You built something good here," he said. "We built it," she corrected. He smiled. "I never thought I would find peace on this world," she said. "But I think I have." He nodded. "You gave them hope. You gave me hope." She turned to him and for the first time allowed herself to smile without sorrow. "You gave me back my strength, Darren. Not just the strength of my body, but of my spirit. And for that I owe you more than I can ever say. You owe me nothing, Virelya. You gave it back to yourself. I just reminded you." She reached out and touched his hand, not as warrior to warrior, but as something more, something human, something whole. From that day forward, the legend of Virelya lived not as a tale of war, but as a story of healing, of a warrior who fell and rose again, of a human who saw not an enemy, but a soul worth saving. In the light of twin moons, two figures stood side by side, strong not just in body, but in heart. Reminders that even in the ruins of war, hope could be found and strength could be reborn.